Hello and welcome to our second Apple Teacher session. We are delighted to have you join us today and continue your Apple Teacher journey. If you're joining us for the first time, hello. If it's not, we are glad to have you here again. I was so pleased to hear from some of you in our RTC team that you had gained your badge, so well done. Welcome to our iPad Keynote course. For those of you who don't know me, I am Ruth Burnett, primary teacher at Bishopton Primary School and an Apple Distinguished Educator. I am also one of the facilitators from the Renfrewshire Apple Regional Training Centre. During our live session on Wednesday, I'll be joined by Laura McAllister, Deputy Head Teacher at Todholme Primary, Apple Teacher, and also one of the facilitators for the RTC. So just to recap from last time, at the RTC, this is our main aim, and we are really pleased to be offering these courses in Renfrewshire. For those of you who were here last session, you can tune out for this bit. Apple Teacher is a free professional learning programme offered by Apple that is designed to support and celebrate educators using Apple products for teaching and learning. It is a self-paced programme that consists of getting to know 6 different areas of iPad, taking a wee quiz online for each area, and then gaining a badge. Once you have all 6 badges, you're an Apple Teacher. You'll access the Apple Teacher Learning Centre by using an Apple ID. And as I've said, in every bit of documentation about these courses, this must be linked to your personal Apple ID. It should not be linked to your Glow or Renfrewshire email, as Apple Teacher is linked to you. And if you move elsewhere, it should go with you. If you already have an Apple device, then you'll already have an Apple ID. The Learning Centre is chock full of wonderful things. The Apple Teacher modules and quizzes are held there, but there's also a ton of resources, ideas, lesson plans, and a forum to share ideas and bounce ideas off people. There are tons of Keynote decks already created you can use, and I'll share some that I've found over the next week or so in the RTC team. When you finish the course today, I would advise logging into the Learning Centre and finding the Apple Teacher section. There you will see the Keynote badge that we have covered today, and you may feel confident enough to take the badge quiz right there and then. You were asked to have access to a school-managed iPad running the latest software update. I realise that the age of devices out there can vary, so if you can't see the buttons I'm referring to today, they may be located in a slightly different place due to running an older operating system. If that happens, please don't panic. Just follow my screen and you can have a play around on your own device later. Or pause this video, have a little look around and then come back to it. This is an overview of the different areas we will be looking at today. And this is how the module in the Learning Centre is broken down too. Some of the things you see today you may already know, some may be new to you. If you have any questions, please join us in the RTC area on Teams and you can ask us there and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. So let's get started. Keynote is by far my most favourite iPad app. I've heard it referred to as a Swiss Army knife app, and I think that's a really good way to describe it. Keynote lets you create amazing presentations using funky Apple design themes and animations, your own drawings, videos, and images to teach new topics and lessons, and also allows our learners to demonstrate their learning in fun and engaging ways. Keynote includes powerful tools that help you bring learning to life, and today we're going to look at a bunch of them. So let's have a look at Keynote in more detail. So to create a new presentation in Keynote, I'm going to press the plus button. And I'm going to choose a theme. Now there's a bunch of different themes here that are created by Apple, and you can see here that most people will be able to find something that suits them. I'm just going to go for this simple one here with the photo in the center of it. And you'll see that when I open it up, my first slide has some placeholder text. And I just need to double tap to edit it. And we're going to stick with the Scotland topic theme from last week. Now, perhaps I don't want that second text box, so I just need to tap it, so it's got my little blue handles around it, and then delete it. Simple as that. Now I want to add a slide, and I would like to add one that has space for a photograph on it. So you'll see down in the bottom left-hand corner, there's a plus button. I'm going to tap on that, and it shows me all the different layout of slides that I can have. And I think I'm going to go for this one, the one with the photograph in it. Now you can see this has what's known as a placeholder image in the center of it. And you can tell it's a placeholder image because it has a little plus sign in the bottom right-hand corner. This means I can replace it with one of my own images. So let's try that. I press the little plus button and I get this little menu that pops up. And I want to choose one of the photos that I have already saved to my camera roll. Let's have a little look back here. And here I have a beautiful one of some Scottish landscapes. I'm going to tap in my text box and edit it. And once again, delete that secondary one. Now, perhaps I think actually I want that slide to go first. Over in my slide viewer with the little thumbnails on the left-hand side, I just hold on to my slide and then I can pop it right up at the top. And then that changes the order of my slides. Now I'm looking at that image and maybe I think, actually, you know what? I would quite like to zoom on in a particular part of that image rather than having the whole thing. If I double tap, you'll see that the actual full image is at a slight angle and the Keynote has picked out an area of it for me already. So I can adjust that area by zooming in and out with my what's known as the masking rectangle. I can also use my fingers to rotate it within the frame. Let's zoom in to see it a little bit better. And when I'm happy with it, I can click done. Now, perhaps I'm not actually happy with that image and I would like to replace that one. I go up to my formatting button, and formatting button in Keynote is the one that looks like a little paintbrush on the top right-hand side. And I want to replace that picture. And let's go for something else. This nice one here. A beautiful photo. I can resize my photograph. When I click on it, I can resize it while it's inside the frame. And I can use my yellow alignment guides to ensure that that picture is located in the center of my slide. You'll see them pop up there. Let's make it just slightly smaller and let's make sure it's aligned right in the center of the slide. Now, we all know kids who love to fill their presentations with the contents of their talk and just read off the slides. I think it would be a really interesting challenge to see if we can get children to create a presentation with only pictures. That will allow them to really focus on the content of their talk. Another thing that you can do with your images in Keynote is you can remove the background. Now, one of the activities I did at the start of this year with my Primary 5 class was a getting to know you activity in Keynote. So I'm just going to go into my example deck here. And we'll go to this slide. And you can see what we have here is an image of myself doing my thinking face and a whole bunch of images around me that kind of describe and sum up who I am. But how did I get that picture of just me without any background? Well, let me show you. I'm going to create a new slide, and this time I'm going to make a blank one. I need to add my photo from my media browser. So I go up to the top and I click the little button that looks like a little photo. And I'm going to click photo or video. And here I've taken another one of me today with my thinking face on again. Now, great photo. Don't really want to look at myself for too long, but let's try and get rid of the background. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to drag it down here. And then I'm going to go to that formatting button again. And I'm going to click remove background. Click done. And there we have it, just me right in the center of the slide, nice and easy. Now, if we go back to my original slide with all the graphics, you can see that I have a really fun bunch of shapes around my head. The way that you find these are within the shapes library in Keynote. And Keynote has a whole bunch of shapes that are already sitting waiting for you. So you'll see if I go up to the top menu again, it's the square in front of a circle. I tap that for my shape browser, and you can see that they're grouped into different subject matters. So you can just search it that way, or you can search for a specific thing. Now, if you know me, you'll have looked at those images and known that there for sure is a cat missing. So we must have a cat. So I can just tap in cat, and I'm going to go for this guy here. I'll pop him up in this corner and use my blue handles to resize him, and then the 2-finger rotation trick to pop him right there. Now, I'm not too fussed with the color of this khaki cat that I have here. So again, I'm going to format him. So I'm going to click that little paintbrush and go to fill. And you can see that I have the whole range of colors to choose from. And I'm going to go for a little gingery cat there. Perfect. That's just what I'm after. But say you want to make it a little bit fancier. You can pick gradient, where you go from one colour to another. Another really clever thing that you can do with the shapes within Keynote is you can break them up. Now, what that means is, see the birthday cake? The birthday cake is actually made up of lots of different little shapes together. And if I tap on that, go to formatting again, this time in the arrange part of the menu, there's a button right down at the bottom that says break apart. And when I click this, you're going to see it break apart. Now I have all of the different parts of the birthday cake, and I can format these individually. So I can change their colour. And it just allows me to personalise it that little bit more. But I have all of those flames, and to be honest, I don't want to have to tap and individually change the colour of those to the same colour, as that's going to be a bit of a faff. So I want to select a group of shapes. So I'm going to click on the first flame, then I'm going to click the button that says select objects and tap the rest of them. When I click done, you'll see that I have all 5 of my flames all selected at once. And when I go to my format menu and change the colour, they all change at once. Now, another nifty tool is being able to fill the shapes from the shapes library with images of your choosing. In this example, I'm going to find a tree and then I'm going to fill it with a picture of some Scottish woodland. So we'll go back to here. You'll see in my slide viewer down the side, I'm going to add a new slide. And again, I'm going to go for a blank one. I'm going to look inside my shape library and I'm going to type in tree. And I want this big bushy one here. I'm going to drag it, make it nice and big, and again, use my alignment grids to pop it right in the centre of the slide. Now, I can fill that with a colour if I want. That would be lovely, I'm sure. But what I want to do is fill the picture of the tree with some pictures of Scottish woodland. So I'm going to go to my format button. I'm going to go to fill. And yes, I could choose from the colours, but along the right-hand side, you'll see a button that says image. So I'm going to tap on that. And change image. I'm going to choose photo, or you could take a fresh photo with your camera right there and then, but I'm going to go for choose. And if I go down here, I've got this one from out in the school field last week. And you can see there it has put the image within the shape from my library. And I can use the buttons underneath to change how my picture looks within the space of the shape. But I think I'm just going to leave it like that for now because it looks pretty good. Now, if I go back to my main style menu, I can add a border on, and I want quite a thick border. And I'm going to change the colour to a nice dark green. And I think that looks really effective. And the wonderful thing about this is you can do them with shapes from the shape library, but you can also do them with text as well. So in this example here, I have got 4 letters for my name, and I have filled each of them with an image that represents me in some way. Now, the way to do this is each of these letters is in an individual text box, and that means that I can drop a picture into each of the letters. If you were going to do it with a full word in a text box, you would only be able to have one picture that runs through them all, but that as well can look very effective. And just to stay on topic, I've got a Scotland one as well. So we have some Scotland images that have been dropped into each of the letters for the word Scotland. There is a whole bunch of different ideas that you could do with this activity, and there'll be one coming up in our 12 Days of RTC Christmas series coming up soon. Just a little teaser for you there. My tip for this activity is to make sure you use a nice big thick bold font, as it allows you to see more of the picture that you're putting inside it. Now, we can also use our familiar markup tools to draw in Keynote. So I'm going to go back to my picture with all the shapes around my head. And I just want to add in a little detail because I think that cat looks lovely, but he's maybe missing some spots. So up in the top row, I'm going to click the Add Media button that looks like little pictures. And you'll see down at the bottom, I have the option for drawing. And as soon as I do that, my markup tools pop up. So let's go for this. And we're going to get some little brown dots for my little cat. Let's zoom in on them. Now you can use your pencil or a stylus or an Apple Pencil or a finger in order to do this. Another tool that you can use from markup is the one that looks like a little paint tube. And this is a paint fill tool. And if I tap on that, I'm happy with the yellow color. I can then draw down a shape and it will automatically fill it for me. It's a wonderful start, I know. And I can go back to my pen tool, pick a slightly different color, and I'm going to add another little bit of detail. So the markup tools combined with the shapes allows you to add some really beautiful graphics, but also to add some detail to them where necessary. And you can pinch to zoom to complete these finer details. And the wonderful thing about being able to annotate your slides is if you wanted to draw attention to something on your presentation, perhaps an image that you had imported, you can do that by using your markup tools. Moving on. Being able to include tables in your Keynote ensures that certain information is presented in a way that's easier to understand by displaying it in rows and columns. So now I'm going to add another new slide, another blank one this time. And I'm going to add a table. And you can see the table button up in my top menu. Scrolling to the right, you can see and left, you can see the different types of tables I have to choose from. And I'm just going to go for this one. A nice standard looking table. Now the default table it gives me is actually too big for what I need it for. So I want to be able to delete some rows and columns. If I delete the number at the start of the row, I can then delete it. And the same for the letters at the top of the columns. And now I have a grid that's much better for me size-wise. You can also do the opposite. If you click on the little circle with the two lines, you can increase the amount of rows and columns in your table. Double tapping in your cell allows you to insert text. And when you have text inside your cells, you can format it as normal by clicking on the paintbrush, changing font sizes, colors, style, all that sort of stuff. When I tap on my table, you can see it has the blue handles. I can resize it and I can move it around on my slide. Now in my example here, I've created a planning table for allocating roles and responsibilities for a task. And you can see I've added some images into the cells as well. Now, as soon as we start thinking about tables, our teacher brains start thinking information handling and creating charts. While we'll look at using the Numbers app in more detail later in the Apple Teacher series, Keynote also allows you to transform your data into visuals and contains different types of charts within it. So here we go into this slide. Now, in this slide, I'm going to collect some data about favourite Scottish woodland animals. If I go up to the chart button in the center of my top menu and tap on it, you'll see the different types of charts that I can choose from. Now they kind of have like a brownie tinge to them just now. That is because of these are the color schemes that have been selected for me to go alongside the theme of my slides. You can edit them all as well. Don't worry, your default isn't brown and khaki. So I'm just going to go for a standard bar chart. And you'll see when it puts the bar chart up, it has a bunch of placeholder data in it already. And I want to edit that. So I'm going to click Edit Data. And actually, what I want is I do want to have 4 different animals, but I'm going to take data from 3 different classes. So let's change these names into some Scottish animal names. And let's put some classes down this side. Now you'll see as I enter text in, it automatically creates a new row for me. However, if I want to add in a new row as well, I can also click the start of the row and insert, and that will give me another row as well. I'm just going to delete that one for now. And the same along the right-hand side as well for my columns. So if I wanted to add in another animal, it's easy enough just to add another one in. Let's just pop in some numbers here. Obviously, these are not very representative numbers for school class sizes, but they'll do for now. Now I have my data imported into my table. I'm going to click Done. And you'll see that it has populated my bar chart with my data that I have put in. I can then click the formatting button to play around with my chart appearance. And you'll see there's a whole bunch of different things that you can add and change within there. An interesting activity in a data handling topic might be to use the same data and create different charts on each slide to see which works best. That would allow your learners to see the different ways data can be presented and how that can affect the message that is being told from the chart. Keynote includes a wide range of cinematic effects to animate slides and the content within. As with everything we teach the kids when it comes to presentations, they should be used purposefully and to further communicate with the audience. There's nothing worse than a presentation rammed full of animations and weird noises that serve no purpose to the content. Now I want to add a transition between slides. So I'm going to click on my slide I want to transition from, tap on the thumbnail, and click the button that says Transition. Add Transition, and you'll see I get a whole different bunch of effects that I can choose. And it's quite fun to kind of tap on them, and it'll give you a little preview of the effect. Now I'm just going to go for Wipe, which is this one here. And when I'm happy with it, I'll click Done. So perhaps I want to animate a specific item in one of my slides. Let's go back to this one. And I want my gaming controller to have a funky effect as it adds itself to my slide. So I tap on it, I go to Animate, and I have to decide whether I want the action to happen as it's coming into the slide or out of the slide, or potentially both. I'm just going to have it as it is built in, so Add Build In. And I quite like the fly-in effect. A little preview there. Yeah, I'm happy with that, and I can click Done. And now, when I put my presentation into play mode, it's not there until I tap the slide. And it appears. I'm happy with that. Now, one of the things that we often want to use animations for is when it comes to a bulleted list. And we want each of the items on a bulleted list to come in at one at a time. That could be where we don't want people to read ahead, or we only want to give specific parts of a task or instructions one at a time. So let's see how that's done. I'm going to add a new slide again. And I'm just going to click one that says bullets. Let's add that list of Scottish animals again. Now it is my bulleted list that I want to animate, so I need to make sure it's selected with the blue handles around it. I'm going to click Animate, and I want them to appear one by one as they come into the slide. So I'm Add Build In. And there's a whole bunch of animations you can choose from. I'll let you explore them in your own time, but for now I'm just going to press Appear. Now that's them all coming in at once, so that's not quite what I'm after. I click the X, that's my build in, and then I tap on it again, and it's the delivery button I'm looking for here. So when I tap on that and by bullet, you can see that I'm going to come in one at a time by bullet from 1 to 4. And if I go back and done, let's test it out in presentation view. I have nothing on my screen. Tap, squirrel, tap, tap. Perfect, that's exactly what I'm after. We're now going to move on to one of my most favourite things about Keynote, Magic Move. Magic Move is a powerful transition tool that allows moving, resizing, and rotating between slides. It is very clever and can make things look super smart. Let's take a look at this example. I want to show the kids a selection of items, some of which have been invented in Scotland. On the next slide, I want to display the items that were invented in Scotland. So I'm going to tap on my slide thumbnail, Transition. I'm going to add a transition, and this time I'm going to go for Magic Move. And I'm going to click done. And it's going to ask me if I want to duplicate the slide, and I do. It's going to make a copy of my first slide for me to make changes on. So on my duplicate slide is where I'm going to make the changes. I'm going to move, resize, add things in, take things away. So for example, I'm going to take out that question mark, and I'm going to take out the things that were not invented in Scotland. I'm also going to move the things that were invented in Scotland into slightly different locations. And because I want everything nice and lined up, I'm going to tap on my first one, select objects, just like I did with the flames on the candle earlier. Select all these guys, click done. And then up in my formatting, I'm going to align them on the center. And I'm going to distribute them horizontally across my slide. I also want to change their color because I think that will be quite impactful as well. Same with the title. So now I have my pictures that are in a different location, a different color, and I've taken some things away as well. So if I go back to my original slide, I'm going to show you how Magic Move works. So you should see that the removed objects are going to fade out. If I had added any objects in, they would fade in. Let's try it out. Pretty nifty, I think. I absolutely love Magic Move, and I've seen it used in so many wonderful and creative ways in the classroom. A simple idea would be, for example, to explain division. The first slide has your item as a scattered selection of images, and then Magic Move then changes to slide 2, where they are then sorted into your groups. Now, as part of the curriculum, we encourage our children to develop their listening and talking skills. And practice, practice, practice is what really helps. To help with this, Keynote includes presenter notes, so they, and you, can rehearse your keynote with helpful notes and reminders. Again, this brings us back to our earlier point about not filling the slides with everything that needs to be said word for word. So how do we add our presenter notes? So up in the top left-hand corner, our slide browser button, you're going to select the bit that says Show Presenter Notes. And you'll see that underneath each of the slides, we now have a little section. Now I've popped some bits in here already. Introduce topic for slide 1. Each letter has a picture that represents me, and pictures of Scotland. And I can make my keyboard go away just by pressing that little keyboard button as well. Pop. Now I want to rehearse my presentation with my presenter notes a little while before I do my actual presentation. To rehearse my slideshow with presenter notes, I'm going to touch the circle with the 3 little dots in the top right-hand corner, and you'll see there's an option to rehearse slideshow. When I tap that, you'll see that I've got a box up in the top right-hand corner with 2 little squares on it. Just tap that, and you'll see there's an option for current and notes. And that is going to show the slides and my presenter notes beside it. And this is a really good way to practice timings and to become more fluent and confident in our presentation skills. Now I'm just going to switch this back to current and show you another tool. Another really useful tool to be able to use when you're doing presentations is to have the ability to annotate your slides. So if I tap on the little squiggle with the pencil, you can see I get a bunch of little tools popping up along the bottom. Now what I can do is I can use the little red dot as a sort of laser pointer, or I can use any of the coloured buttons to write on my slides. Not my neatest handwriting, I know. And we're just going to come out of this just now. One final thing today is to see how we can share our presentations as movies. Perhaps you want to share something you or the children have created. Sharing them as a movie is the way to go. It shows all of the information without the surrounds of the Keynote environment. Before exporting as a movie, it is worth adding any additional information to make a video easier to understand in the absence of a presenter. Will this make sense without the presenter being there? So I click my share box, which is a little box with the arrow coming out of it. Click export and send. Movie. And you'll see there's various options that you can play around with here regarding the resolution and the range of slides you're going to include and how long the video will stay on each slide for. I click export. And the export is then going to create the movie from my slide deck. I can then save this to my photos, or I can send it in any number of ways, whether that's via AirDrop, email, uploading it to Seesaw, whatever. One way this could be used in the classroom is for creating instructional support videos. For example, making a deck in Keynote, exporting it as a movie, and having it for learners to refer to at a learning station. Now, that is everything we wanted to show you for today. There are lots of other tricks with Keynote, but this is a great start, and I hope you can see the rich potential in this app. I also understand that is a lot of information, and you'll probably want some time to digest it and play around with Keynote in your own time. Now, there are 4 other sessions like this one, each covering a different app with an iPad, and we would love you to join us for the future ones. We have created an RTC space on Teams where we share information on upcoming courses offered by ourselves or Education Scotland and share resources we find that we think would be helpful. Please join us on Teams, and if you have any iPad questions or queries, we will do our best to answer them. Before we leave, I have one more favour to ask of you. There's a QR code on your screen to a feedback survey. If you could complete it, I'd be very grateful. If you could complete it, we'd be very grateful, as your feedback allows us to tailor the RTC courses to the needs of our lovely Renfrewshire educators. Thank you for your time today, and please share those badges when you get them. Bye-bye.